now we will be learning about the cell reference. Okay. This define name, please don't misunderstood by this, because we have already learned this. Whenever we have implemented the table, we already got the name, right? The same thing, the same option you get into this formula tab. That is why I was going through the PPT, so that you won't misunderstood that you have forgot or we have missed any point. So here there is define name. This is the same thing of defining this particular table, and whenever you convert it into a table now, then also you will get in the table tab, you get a name that already changed the name, correct? So that is the same thing, defining this particular name. That was it in the whole this option. The only something you need to understand is shorting, like what you can do also, the subtotaling and the shorting kind of things. So you will first convert this into a table. Okay, now what you'll do, you will just make changes like this. Okay, so what basically shorting is, let's say I want to short the name on the basis of alphabetical issue. So what I'll do, I'll just click it here, and here there is an option short A to Z or Z to A. So whatever I'll select now, short A to Z, so the name will be shorted with the alphabetical letters, and accordingly the complete data will get changed. Okay, it's not that only this will be arranged, but when the name has been arranged, all the other data will be arranged accordingly. Okay, now here what I want, let's say after the alphabetical data, I want it to be arranged as this this particular department. Also, I want to arrange that A to Z. So again, I selected A to Z. Now the department has been arranged into A to Z. You can see that uh, mm, all other data has been arranged on that basis. Like the name has been changed, the gender has been replaced, the monthly salary or the annual salary, everything will get rearranged depending upon the sorting you will apply to a filter. Okay. Now let's say there is a bot that has been used. There are many more shortcut keys that are to be used, but I use just in the data tab. You will come here. What is cell reference? Basically, here we do have four options, like four types of cell references. First one is absolute. The second one is relative. The third one is mixed, and the fourth one is 3D. But along with that, we are going to study one more cell reference, that is circulative cell reference, circular cell reference, that is iterative cell reference. Now, iterative cell reference, I'll start it from there only. Means what? Means that, let's say for this example, I do have an Excel sheet as well for the example. This revenue is, we have this revenue, we have this cost, and let's say we have a condition that we will pay the bonus out of profit. Okay, so we will pay the bonus of 10% of the profit. Okay, whatever profit we will get. And how will you get the profit? We'll get the profit by subtracting the cost and bonus from revenue. Okay. In this case, what happens? The calculation of bonus depends on profit, and the calculation of profit depends on bonus, right? So in this scenario, what happens? There is a circular cell reference will be implemented. Circular means now this is using, this particular cell is using the cell reference of this, and this cell is using a cell reference of this. Means both are interdependent. So when both are interdependent, then computer gets confused that how would I be finding the values? First, for which cell I should find the value first, so that the second can be defined easily. So for that, for basically making that easy, you will go to the file tab. In the file tab, there is an option of more. In the more, you will go to options and you'll go to formula. Okay. In this formula, you will press what? Enable iterative calculations. Enable iterative. Iterative means interdependent. Okay. Iterative means interdependent. So you have activated that if there will be any interdependent formula, so you the Excel is going to decide by itself and provide the answer. So you pressed OK. Now you can get the answer. Okay. So now if separately you will get the thing, so that if you will figure out the 10% of this, so obviously Oh, I have pressed 200. 10% of this. So obviously you are getting the right answer as bonus, correct? And when you will be subtracting the cost and the bonus from the revenue, so you are getting, this means you have got the correct answers, but you have got the correct answers after activating the iterative calculations. Okay. Yeah. So this is what circular cell reference means. Now, what is basically cell reference? So whenever you visit anywhere, okay, let's say whenever you visit any government office, okay, so what you do, you give a reference, okay, so that your work will be done easily and it will be done faster on time, right? So for that purpose, what you do, you give the officer a name of the higher authorities, okay, or of the some mantri or some MP or MLA, right? So listen, I know this person, I know the chief minister, I know the prime minister, and my prime minister is my uncle. So you need to do the task on time, okay? You need to do the task, my task on priority, this kind of thing, right? It normally happens, okay? So now coming to the point, that does that name matters or the post matters? Exactly, the post matters. Similarly, here also, if I need to add the sales of January, February, and March, what I'll do, I can do one thing, that is equal to 5600 plus 4500 plus whatever the March option would be, like this is 6540 na, plus 6540. Okay, I can do this. This is also added, or what I can do, from 5600 comma 4500 6540. This also I can, right? So I can do both the things, and in both the cases I'm getting the same result. But if I'll drag it, so I am going to get the results for all of them, or I need to do the separate calculations. Okay, so for your information, I'll drag it. You are not getting the information automatically. Here in this condition, we need to calculate for all of them particularly, right? No, in that condition also, I have implemented 5600 plus 4500 plus 6540, sorry, plus 6540. In this condition also, you'll get the same answers. Because here what you are doing, you are using a specific person's name. You are using this 5600. You are not using the name of this B3. You are not using the name of this post. Okay. You need to understand this fact ki bhai, let's say these are different states and this is the post of a chief minister. Okay. So if you are not using the post of a chief minister, if you are not using the title chief minister, how would you be expecting by you will be dragging this formula downward, and as the state will be changing, your chief minister's name will be keep changing. You can't say it, no, just because you are not using the post of the chief minister, you are using the name of that particular person. You are using the name as Alok Kumar. Okay, so the Alok Kumar name is not gonna change for any state. But when you are saying Alok Kumar, the chief minister of Bihar, it means whenever the name, the chief minister of Delhi, when you will mention, then Alok Kumar will automatically change to Kejriwal. So that is what I mean to say, that here, rather than using the data, what you will do, you will use the cell reference. You will use B3. Okay. Rather than writing 5600, you will use B3 plus C3 plus D3. Okay. How I selected D3, so I just went to D2 and then press the downward button. Okay. So now I have selected D3. Now when I will drag this now, this, all the answers will get changed. Now you'll say why? Just because I have used this post, and whenever I was just changing my state now, the post remains the same, but the people changed. The name changed, and that is why the result changed. Okay. So basically, this is a relative cell reference. Relative cell reference, why? Just because whenever you will be changing your answer, whenever you will be changing your result, the cell reference will get changed relatively. Relatively means accordingly. What I am saying, that let's say Amit. Okay, Amit's Jan, this is the sale of Amit in Jan month. So I haven't selected Jan month or I haven't selected Amit. What I did, I just selected the cell. This cell, that particular cell shows the Jan sales of Amit. So whenever I change this result, one cell, one row down. So this cell reference also comes one row down. Okay. So whenever you will be dragging this formula, the cell reference will be get dragged automatically. For example, rather than dragging it down, I drag it rightward side. So whenever I will drag it rightward side, the cell reference will get dragged to rightward side. Here you can see that this particular cell should be this, this, and this, but this has been dragged completely towards the rightward side. Got it? So that is why it is known as relative cell reference. Basically, here what does it means? They want to say that, let's say this is Amit and this is the relation of mother and father. Okay, mother, father, and sister. So here we are getting what? Getting the names. Here we are getting the name expenses of mother, father, and sister of Amit. Okay. So whenever we are changing from Amit to Ravi or to Sanjay or to Vikas or to Rajesh, so their relation with their mother, father, and sister, obviously their name will get changed. So that is why whenever we are dragging our results, along with that, the cell reference is also get dragged either in downward side or rightward side. If I'll be dragging it to the rightward side, so then also it will be changing. Like here, it has been dragged to one cell. Okay. Now, if we'll take an example, from here, I have dragged how much cells? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So these three cells will shift to the four level. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the cell reference will be starting from here. So similarly, basically this is known as relative cell reference, in which the cell reference moves according to the result cell. Okay, understood? Basically, what does it means? That this is the relative cell reference in which you have just provided the name. I have just provided the B3, C3 and D3. So obviously whenever I'll be dragging it, so the B3, C3 and D3 will be changing. It's just like two people are holding a rope. Okay. So whenever one person is moving backward, so automatically the second person will get dragged. Correct. Whenever you have provided this formula, you have just made a relation between this one, but the relation is only of three cells. 1, 2, 3. So whenever you will be dragging this formula, they will be adding the preceding three cells. Like when I'll select copy this and will paste it here. So here they are getting 0. Why? Because the preceding three cells doesn't have any value. Okay. Here also it is 0, it is 0 and it's 0. That is why it is getting 0. Whenever I'll add up here 100, 200 and 500. So you got the answer. Correct. This is the most important part and this is the most basic thing of the cell reference. Okay, so basically this is the relative cell reference, the very basic cell reference. Now the use of cell reference is basically whenever you are using Excel, so you are not supposed to work hard. Basically Excel is made to make your task easy, right? To analyze your work, to make your calculations easier. So you are not supposed to calculate every single time you need a result. So rather than making it in numbers, you have decided to give them a cell reference so that they can calculate easily. So that is why we are using cell references. Cell references means we are just using the name of the cells, not the data in the cell. Basically, we are using the post as we are using the name here B3, not 5600. Okay. Yes. 5600 is the person who is sitting into this B3. That can be changed by 6500 anytime. Okay. But B3 will remain B3. right? That is why the chief minister post will always remain the chief minister post, but the chief minister will keep changing. Okay, so that is why rather than being known to a person, who became the chief minister, you become a person who will be always close to the chief minister's post. Okay, become an officer who will be working with the chief minister, whoever it is, that doesn't matter. This is what basically the cell reference means. Okay, basically in this cell reference now, we create relations between the answering cell, the cell where we are getting the results, and from which cell we should get the results. Okay, so cell reference basically we use while creating the relation between the sheets. Here we have created a relation that from within this particular E2, E3 cell, what will happen that the preceding three cells will get added. Okay, and that is why whenever I am moving this particular answer to anywhere, so what it does, it just add preceding three cells. Okay, so in cell reference we use that, we basically provide a relation to this particular cell rather than providing any numerical value for calculations. Okay, now coming to the second part, that was absolute cell reference. Basically, we have studied about the relative cell reference. Okay, now the cell reference is basically used that rather than using the sum, basically here I need to add the sale of January, February and March. Okay, so rather than here writing that 6,500 plus 4,500 plus 6,540, what I decided to provide the cell name. Like I have provided here in the formula bar, you can see that I have provided B3 plus C3 plus D3. Rather than writing 6,500, I prefer to provide them a name. Okay. And now what I'll do, whenever I'll be changing this result cell, that particular cell reference will change automatically. That is what relative cell reference is. That whenever you are going to drag it, let's say this is me. Okay, so this is me and this is my mother, father and sister. So whenever here my name will get changed. So let's say rather than me, here the name becomes Govind. Okay, so automatically when the name changes to Govind, then the mother, father and sister, obviously they will change. So that is what relative cell reference is. Let's say from here I just copied this and pasted it here. Okay, so here also whatever the name is, let's say this is the name of E13. So for E13, their mother, father and sister should be B13, C13 and D13, right? That is what relative cell reference is, that whenever you provide a cell reference, so you provide it in such a way so that whenever you are changing the result cell, the cell references provided in that particular cell will change accordingly. Either you will move it to the downward section or you will move it to the rightward side. Okay, now coming to this absolute cell reference. So in absolute cell reference, now basically what you do, you fix something. Okay, you fix something. Basically in this, what you need, so you need to get the 18% of all, right? You need to get 18%. It doesn't matter you are going to get it for X, Y or Z, but you need to get 18%. So what you'll do, you will first open up this. Now you are multiplying the quantity into rate, right? So basically I have kept it the cell references because whenever I'll be dragging it, so this should be get dragged, right? But for all three cases, I need 18% to be fixed. So that is why I'll select 18%. And with that, I will select F4. Okay. When I selected 18%, after selecting 18%, I have pressed F4. And whenever I press F4, you can see that there is a dollar sign in front of name, column name and row number. Can you see that? That there comes a dollar sign in front of J and in front of 2. That is the column name and row number. Right? So this dollar signifies that in front of whatever the dollar is, that segment is not gonna change in any case.
It's a freeze, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of freeze. Okay, it has been freezed. So here it has been completely freezed that even if wherever you will move this particular formula, this J2 will remain the same. What will change? H4 and I4 will be changing.
Yes.
Okay. For example, from here, if I will drag it to downward, so here also you can see that the H4 and I4 have been changed to H6 and I6. So they are the relative cell reference, but J2 is a fixed or absolute cell reference. Fixed or absolute cell reference, which is not gonna change. So basically, in absolute cell reference or in fixed cell reference, what we do, we used to fix the cell reference by providing F4. Okay. This dollar sign signifies that this particular cell name forms with the column name and row number, correct? So we have in the earlier class, we have already discussed that the cell number is formed by the column name and row number. And whenever there are two elements, like this is the first name and this is the last name. So what basically happens, dollar would be in front of whatever, either it is in the front first row, first name, or it is in the front in front of last name. So whenever dollar will be there, the segment won't change. So here dollar is in front of row and in front of column as well. So in front of column name also there is a dollar sign, and in front of row number is also a dollar sign. So it means that this particular cell reference is not gonna change at any case. Okay. For freezing the cell, you need to use F4 for once. For freezing the row number, you need to press it twice. For freezing the column name, you need to press it third time. And for unfreezing it, you need to press it for the fourth time. Okay. Yeah. This is what absolute or fixed cell reference is known for. Okay. So this is what absolute and fixed cell reference, and why I explained it that this there is two segment, there is one column name and there is another row number, because the second explanation, because the second criteria, the next criteria is mixed cell reference. The next criteria is mixed cell reference. In that particular cell reference, the cell reference is neither completely relative nor completely freezed. Okay. So it means in the next cell reference, whatever we are going to use, it will neither be completely relative, like it will not be changing completely. All the cell references won't change, but some of the part, like either the row number or the column name, will be changing accordingly as per our requirement. Okay. For example, here I need to find out on the on the basis of this basic salary and this percentage of HRA, I need to find out that in which city, at what basic salary, what will be the HRA. Okay. So it means in Kolkata, if I need to calculate, so for 5,000, it is 25%. So for in Kolkata, if you have a basic salary of 5,000, you will get an HRA of 1250. And this is how I need to calculate for all the cells, like in all the scenario, for all the basic salaries and in all the three cities, I need to calculate it. But I can't calculate it individually, right? If I need to calculate it individually, if I have to calculate it individually, then what is the use of Excel? So that is why in Excel, we get a option to calculate it, to provide a formula once and then implement it so that we can get the complete calculation, right? So that is why we are going to provide a formula. Now here I have provided a cell reference, right? So now first we will understand the usage. First we will understand the requirement of that, where the column name is required to be changed, where the row number is required to be changed. So coming here, the first section is your basic salary. So here we need to drag the formula to rightward side, right? But in any case, we need to multiply with basic only, correct? L column name should not be changed, right? Because in case of Kolkata, in case of Delhi, and in case of Mumbai, we always need to calculate HRA on the basis of this basic, correct? So it means wherever I will drag in the rightward side, this L should not change, correct? But what is like if I calculate drag it downward side, so I need to change now from 5,000 to 10,000 to 15 to 20, right? So it means in this L should be fixed and 5 should be moving, correct? In this L5, whenever I select the salary, so whenever I drag it to the rightward side, so it means the column will change. So I need to fix the column, but I need to leave the row as changing because I need to move it to the downward section, and downward section it should change from 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, correct? Yeah. So in that case, what I'll do, I'll press F1 3 times so that I get a dollar sign only in front of column name, so that only this column name will get fixed and row number will keep changing. Okay. Now coming to this 25%. Now what happens, like whenever I drag downward, so this 25% need to be same for 5,000, 10,000, everything, the 25,000 need to be same, correct? But whenever I drag it to the rightward side, this 25,000 need to be changed to 30 and 35, correct? It means in this condition, our column should keep changing, but our row should be correct. So for that, what I'll do, I'll press this F4 twice so that our row will get fixed, but our column will keep changing. I press enter. Now when I'll drag it the rightward side, here you can see that our L is fixed. Okay. And here you can see our 3 is fixed, row number is fixed. Here we have changed, we have seen that here our column name has been changed from M to O, right? And whenever you will drag it to the downward section, here you can see that here our L is fixed, but our row number has changed. And here our column name has changed, but our row number is fixed. This is a mixed cell reference. Mixed cell reference means it is neither absolute nor relative. It is not completely related, because some part are fixed, right? And it is not completely absolute. Completely absolute, no, because it is some part of it is relative, some part of it is changing. Okay. So basically what happened, like from today onwards, from now onwards, you need to decide that what type of cell reference you need to use where. Okay. If you won't have the correct understanding, so then you will get some like you will always get the negative results. Okay. You'll always get the wrong results. Why I am saying this? Just because in the first attempt, the answer will always be right. Okay. In the first attempt, the answer will always be right. Either you are using relative or fixed or whatever it is. But the answer may vary whenever you will drag that formula. Okay. So when you are dragging that formula and you need to use fixed cell reference, like here, you need to use fixed cell reference. But what you did, you used relative cell reference. Okay. So the first answer would be correct. But when you will be dragging it to downward section, your answers would be incorrect. Okay. So you can't decide from your first answer that your formula is correct or not, your cell references are correct or not. So what you need to do, rather than memorizing it, you need to understand that why and where it needs to be used. And whenever you need to apply it, first you need to think that is there any portion of the cell reference that needs to be changed? If nothing needs to be changed, then you should use absolute cell reference. If there is no such restrictions of keeping it fixed, so you can use relative cell reference. If there is a scenario where some needs to be changed and some needs to be fixed, then you need to use mixed cell reference. Okay. And that is totally up to you because you need to decide depending upon each and every scenario. Here you will multiply it. Normally you have provided this relative cell reference. So the first one is correct, but all others are not. Now, even if here you will fix this 25%, okay, the press 25% is fixed. So you will get the correct results in the first row, okay, but you won't get the correct results in the all other rows. Yeah, so that is what I'm saying, that you need to decide by looking after the scenario, by understanding the scenario, that in which case which type of cell reference need to be used. Okay, whenever you are using a cell reference, you need to first press once F4, that is function button. F4 is there, right? So once you will use F4 for the first time, your column name and row number both will get fixed. When you will be pressing it for the second time, your row number will get fixed. When you will be pressing it for the third time, your column name will get fixed. And when you will press it for the fourth time, your cell will get unfreeze. Okay. So this is the scenario that by F4 you can use this. Now coming to the third, as per your syllabus, coming to the fourth one, right? That is what 3D cell reference. Now what 3D cell reference means? So the 3D cell reference is nothing but just working on the three-dimensional thing. Like whenever you are drawing it on a page, okay, like a single page. So a single page has its length and width, right?
Okay.
But when you come to study a book, so that book has, along with the length and breadth, the length and width, there is a height as well. Okay. Similarly, in this particular workbook, what happens? Like there is a sheet. This is the worksheet, but along, if you include all these worksheets, so then it becomes a workbook. Okay. So whenever you have a cell reference that is using a cell or using a cell reference from another sheet, then it is known as 3D cell reference. Okay. For example, here I need to add the total commission of Jan, Feb, and March. And here you can see that there is a sheet name with Jan. Here is the Jan commission. Here is the Feb commission, and here is the March commission. You need to add all these commissions in one sheet. Okay. So now what basically happens that you need to use a cell reference that will be pertaining to other sheets. Okay. So that is known as 3D cell reference.
Reference.
Understood? Yeah. Now let's use it. Like here, what you'll do, I need to use the sum formula. I went to the Jan sheet and selected from this cell to control shift and downward arrow button this. So here you can see that with the cell reference, the Jan name came. It means this C2 to C11 cell reference is from Jan sheet. Okay. Then I pressed comma. I went to Feb, and then I selected this one. This basically signifies that this C2 to C11 cells are from Feb sheet. Okay.
Okay.
Again, I pressed comma, and then I went to March, and then I selected this one. So now it is saying that this C2 to C11 cell are from March. I just closed the bracket and pressed enter, and I got the complete sum of the commission that is in Jan, Feb, and March. So basically what 3D cell reference is, whenever you are using the cells from another sheet, like here, I'm not using the sheet cells from this sheet only, right? I'm going to use the cell references from another sheets. So what I'll do, I just press equal to, I need to add all the commissions. So I just press some formula, entered into it. Then I went to Jan's sheet, and then I selected the cells from here to here. I selected all these things. Okay. Now I pressed comma. I came to the second sheet and I again done the same task. And again, I pressed the comma, I came to March, and then again I selected the whole commission. Whole commission. Okay. Then close the bracket and pressed enter. This is how I sum up all the commissions from Jan, Feb, and March sheets. So basically here, there are something you need to understand that the first thing is that I have yesterday only, like in the last session only, we have discussed that we can enter any type of data in the cells. So if you want to implement any formula, you first need to start with equal to. That is why I first pressed equal to, then I started writing sum, so that the Excel can understand that I'm not going to write only the alphabet letters. I am going to implement a formula. Okay, that is why I just write equal to sum, then press tab to enter into this formula. Okay, then visited another sheets and then taken the cell reference. Okay, now here whenever you will come now, you will see that it is asking for number 1, Then again, you can see that there is a comma. And after the comma, you provide the number 2. That is why when I selected all the cells from Jan sheet, I provided a comma. And then I went to Feb. Okay. Just because whenever you are differentiating between ranges, so you need to provide comma. The numbers won't get differentiated. That is why I provide comma in between the ranges. Understood?